Hi, so in today's video, I want to talk about believers, and in this situation, I'm talking about people who believe in you as an entrepreneur from my perspective and from my experience. And so, with the background of a person who's trying to get entrepreneurial success, the journey is quite lonely. And being on the journey, that feeling is something that I feel, and it's a feeling that I think many others who are on this journey actually feel. And so my experience has been that, well, it's actually hard to find people who believe in what you're doing, maybe even who believe in you actually accomplishing your goals. And the other thing I realized is there's going to be people who are believers, and there's going to be people who are supporters. And at that point, I want to differentiate. My view is that believers are those who are there and really in their minds and in the way they approach you, think and know it for sure that you're going to achieve your objective. And sometimes believers can also become supporters in the sense that they let you know that they know that you're going to actually succeed, and they give you the moral support, and they give you the emotional support, and they give you even financial support. And I think those are the best believers who are supporters. But both are very important, I think, in one's journey. And so they're also supporters, people who actually are going to give you the moral support. They are going to be there maybe to give you even financial support, emotional support. And they are at that stage where they might have learned maybe from past experience or from your competence that they actually are supporting somebody who is able to accomplish that. And so from my perspective, I've realized that if I counted the number of believers in me at this stage, I'll count maybe one, and I'm not even sure about that believer. But then what I can actually say is, for those out there who feel there's no one who believes in you, I think the important thing is to believe in yourself. And really, your goals are your goals because it's you who's actually seeing that picture. And it's not for you to begin to disbelieve yourself or to have no conviction, because what matters really is conviction. And you may not be able to convince others by talking to them or by showing them, but your conviction is going to draw people eventually who have that same conviction. The conviction will attract conviction, and those who are believers in what you do and similar people to you will eventually come along. But as you prod on, probably alone, without many people who believe in you, you'll find that it's for you a challenge to actually develop the tenacity, the mental strength to go the road alone and to actually be on that road and prove that you actually deserve to be believed, and those that are going to believe you later on when you actually start getting tenable results, I think, are people who are more supporters than believers. But remember those who believed you when you were at zero, when you didn't make a single coin, when you were making losses. I think those are the true believers that even if you lose it all, you can still go back to, and they still going to believe that you can do it again. And so I think cherish those. It's a good stage. There's the zero stage when you're down and starting the journey, because at that stage you can actually identify the true believers, the true supporters, those that are supporting you from stage zero. And sometimes it's a weakness on your part. Maybe you're not communicating well, but in the long run, I think, from my experience, I've realized setting very ambitious ideas that I may come up with are less likely to attract instant believers in them or supporters. And really, it's because the bigger it is, the lesser the people that have actually ever accomplished something that big. And so people based on past experience will judge and think, what makes him think is that one in a million person? And probably in kindness and in trying to protect you from the possibility of failure, they'll actually disbelieve you or discourage you to just, coming from a good place actually, to just kind of give you a reality check. But your reality will differ from other people's reality. And so what matters is your conviction. And even if you don't convince people, later on they will also come on board when they have the conviction, and others will never come on board. And so reflect on the role of conviction in getting believers. And when the time comes and you start winning over believers and supporters, don't get addicted to that support and be a person who reach a point where you can't do without that support. I think that's the downside of having instant believers. You might develop a dependency and might not develop the necessary mental tenacity to actually move on alone and be able to actually accomplish on your own what others believe cannot be accomplished. So I think that's a very important aspect to being believed in. And so if I was to give examples, again, going back to the projects I'm trying to undertake, with the e-bar, which I've talked about, so far I think I've managed to get one believer. And with the idea meritocracy union that I'm forming for rural teachers, because I think it's more in the reality of the people I'm around. I think on that one I have a possible 3 believers, and I think the rest is up to me to work on. And similar to the e-bar, I think believers can be brought on board, and really the believers are brought on to also give you the energy of cooperation of many people. And in my private business, Kulula Services, I basically the only believer. I think on that journey, I have to prod along and walk the lonely path for some time to come. And so never be justified by the number of people who believe in you. Be justified by your conviction and your vision, and just move in accordance with the faith that you have in yourself. And which brings me to actually an analysis of where one can actually find that inner strength to go through, and without much support. Of course, generally there is people in the rest of the world that are doing something similar to what you're doing, or doing something similar to what I'm doing. And so you've got to reach out, find the information about these people, find the where you can access the information. And in this information age, I think the internet is the biggest source of information, and you will find people who are doing what you're doing there. And you create a bubble of that information around you, create so much information of that type of people who are trying to achieve, or who have achieved the goal that you are going for, and then use that energy and let it drive you. And so that is something that will rebuild and re-establish your conviction and your belief. And so I thought I should share that with you guys out there. And so thank you for listening. I'll see you soon.